Now more than ever, WWE has found itself without a number of its top stars. Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Riddick Moss. Wrestlers the company has built itself around, suddenly missing from TV for a variety of reasons. And faced with a further limited roster because of the pandemic, WWE has finally taken action. By writing a perfectly healthy person willing to work also off TV. God damn it, WWE. As part of the ongoing Monday Night Messiah storyline, this week's Raw saw Seth Rollins and Murphy teach their latest pupil a lesson. Pupil because it's his eye. You can pun this, Ollie, you can pun this. By pushing Aleister Black's eyeball onto the corner of the steel steps. Wrestling Observer Radio is reporting this was done to write Black off TV for an unknown duration, just like how Rey Mysterio sold his eye injury for almost a month through July. Initially, this seems like a classic case of Vince McMahon giving up on yet another Raw star, with Black being a Paul Heyman guy and thus part of the old creative regime. Not so though, according to TalkSport. Alex McCarthy is reporting that Vince is actually a huge fan of the performer and of Tom Budgen. Size, agility, skill. But note in that quote it says Tom, the man who plays Aleister Black, not Aleister Black, the character. This is because Vince is worried the character is a gimmick and will limit him. Thankfully, McCarthy dismisses any suggestions that McMahon has given up on Black as a wrestler as absolute nonsense. But it appears he isn't a fan of the gimmick, which Tommy End has portrayed since debuting in NXT back in 2016. It's speculated that Black being written off TV could be Vince's way to repackage his act. Do you think Aleister Black needs a new gimmick? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere, saying Funkasaurus, dancing dinosaurs always work. Before we get on with the rest of the news, I'd like to say a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. But what is a VPN, you might ask? It's a virtual private network, which means your smartphone, laptop, tablet, whatever can trick the internet into thinking it's somewhere else. Where are you, Luke?
Well, my laptop thinks I'm in America, where I'm watching US Netflix, which is way better than the UK one, but I'm actually in West London.
And you, Pete?
Even though
I've run out of time for Pete. But for you, yes you, I'll bet you've got a lot of time right now in self-isolation. So get yourself Surfshark VPN using our special links below, because then you'll have access to an entire world of content by kicking geo-blocking in the butt. And for all our American viewers, you can use it to access BBC iPlayer to watch all our ridiculously short-lived comedy series. How have we only got 14 episodes of The Office? Make sure to use our promo code WrestleTalk2, because that gets you a massive 85% off and 3 months free. Surfshark are really helping support us here at WrestleTalk during these hard times. So please at least click the link below and check them out. As Amy Winehouse once sang specifically about professional wrestling news, back to Black, and how his kayfabe eye injury might unfold. WWE have issued an update on Rey Mysterio, writing his vision is improving slowly each day and that his optic nerve is intact, completely secured and back in its socket. Well done, science. Interestingly, when it comes to injuries like this, the exact length the eye is dangling out the socket directly relates to how your pro wrestling contract negotiations are going. Because according to Wrestling Observer Radio, Mysterio still hasn't re-signed. Damn it, Ollie, you can pun this! Get your head in the game. Mysterio still hasn't re-signed with WWE, implying the promotion still hasn't agreed to Rey wanting more money and fewer dates. While it's widely expected he'll stay with WWE, there is a very real possibility they could lose him to AEW if they don't lock him down soon. One major bargaining chip is Eddie Guerrero's son Dominic, who did appear on this week's Raw to seemingly build a feud with Seth Rollins by whacking the crap out of him with a kendo stick, as Rollins revealed in a tweet with a picture of the marks across his back. But while Seth seems to excel in WWE's heavily produced wrestling environment, his former Shield brother Jon Moxley has shot on the creative process and working for Vince McMahon. Appearing on Busted Open Radio, the AEW World Champion spoke about how much freedom he has in cutting promos these days, which has been a big part of how he's fallen in love again with wrestling. And inevitably, that was compared to how his former contractor, WWE, used to produce segments. After reminiscing how much fun he had cutting unscripted promos in FCW under Dusty Rhodes' guidance, calling that period one of the best times I had in the business, he recalled the first time he was handed a script on the main roster when he was part of the Shield with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. He thought the script was just a suggestion and he would still be able to contribute his ideas, but a producer corrected him. No, this is the way you're going to say it. I remember having this feeling in the pit of my stomach like, oh my god, I made a terrible mistake. And it seemed the problem only compounded during his WWE run, as Moxley went on to say, I'll tell you what pressure is. Pressure is having a 2-page script written by a 74-year-old madman that makes no sense to you, that's going to make you look stupid, and you're on worldwide TV live and you have to memorize every single line and somehow try to pull it off and not look like a total jackass. That's pressure. A lot of times I did pull that off. A lot of times I didn't, but I'll never have to be in that situation again. But John, it's such good S-word. It's important to note that Moxley never says Vince McMahon by name there, but Vince is 74 years old and runs the wrestling company Moxley used to work for. Actually, it's probably Paul Heyman's fault. And Moxley isn't even the only former WWE wrestler who's shot on Vince and the company in the last 24 hours. EC3's WWE run is coincidentally inextricably linked to Moxley. Dean Ambrose was EC3's first proper feud after being called up to the main roster in the rushed on their way to WWE slate of debuts in early 2019. But McMahon allegedly blamed EC3 for not getting over with the audience, when really he was booked in an impossible position, as WWE used EC3 to bury Ambrose on the way out of the company, which EC3 has also criticised on Busted Open Radio. When I did get called up, it was a rush call-up. My mistake was trusting the process and believing there's a reason for it, as opposed to it was a rash decision because they were feeling heat for some reason. Plus they called me up and I was out with an injury. I was rushed back from injury. I was not in a good place physically and mentally. Speaking on how WWE itself is run, EC3 said, ultimately, McMahon is to blame. It starts at the top, and I think the very, very top is micromanaging at an extremely dangerous level, where there is no trust in the lieutenants, majors, and generals to do anything. The product becomes unwatchable and insufferable sometimes. As a leader, instead of passing blame to people and firing them, leadership starts at the top. EC3 was fired from WWE as part of the mass releases in mid-April, but he revealed that if the whole world wasn't ending, he would have likely asked to leave then anyway. I would have, post-WrestleMania, requested my release privately. I would not have been the guy who takes his business public trying to get out. I would have a man-to-man conversation to whoever it was worth, and their decision may have been yes, may have been no. EC3 said that while he always felt good walking out of meetings with McMahon, where he'd pitch a bunch of different ideas, including him teaming up with his real-life best mate, Drake Maverick, Vince would appear excited, but then nothing happens. Maybe if WWE built up more wrestlers like EC3 with genuine sustained pushes, the promotion wouldn't be left with so few stars headed into one of their biggest shows of the year, as yet another main eventer is now reportedly off SummerSlam. The Omni Flare was written off TV on the 22nd of June episode of Raw with a half-hearted injury angle that Charlotte didn't really sell. Both TalkSport and the Wrestling Observer both reported this was because Flair needed to take time off for surgery, which Charlotte herself later confirmed was for an ongoing issue with her breast implant. Alex McCarthy has now updated the situation, revealing Flair's surgery on July 25th went great, but the recovery time means there is no chance in hell she'll be cleared for SummerSlam SummerSlam on August 23rd. And interestingly, when Charlotte does eventually return, it might not be as full-time as the company would like. McCarthy adds that while Flair's priority remains her in-ring work, she's received several major TV network offers, possibly meaning she won't come back to WWE until Royal Rumble 2021, where presumably her never putting anyone over in NXT will make sense. It's got to make sense eventually, right? Triple H! You told me it would make sense. WWE might be asking her to return as quickly as possible though, as this week's Raw has seen another terribly low rating with an average of 1.61 million viewers, slightly below last week's 1.62 million. And that was even with
Championship Monday, Part 2,
where Sasha Banks won the Raw Women's title, a decision that Ember has publicly criticized WWE for on her Twitch channel. Why do we need two double champions? Is SummerSlam going to be like low-key Evolution with Sasha and Bayley wrestling for their singles titles and also for the tag titles? Is that a thing? Are we just reliving Triple H and Steve Austin two-man power trip from 2001? Sasha and Bayley have done a great job with a limited roster, but there are too many people sitting at home to tie up all the titles with two people. You're sacrificing all of your other superstars for two people. Title of your wrestling promotion: WWE, sacrificing all of your other superstars for two people. Then, now, forever. It's time to freshen things up. Let's sacrifice all your other superstars for 2-decade-old nostalgia acts instead. After Ron Simmons was randomly shown in a few segments backstage last week, and Mark Henry got similar cameos this Monday, adore him, Ruby Riott. No, look more adoringly. Adore him! The real reason for their appearances has been confirmed. Dave Meltzer reported last week that WWE was planning to relaunch the Nation of Domination, the Black Power-based faction from the Attitude Era, but it has been scrapped entirely when others backstage convinced him that maybe it's not the best idea right now, given the socio-political climate. Simmons and Henry had already made their way out for the tapings, so they decided to throw them unceremoniously on screen anyway. And they didn't even get Simmons to say damn. That's like his whole thing now. It's Quizzlemania 15 tonight, featuring the return of Sean Ross Sapp. To stop Luke's reign of terror, press the video on the right to set your reminder, and press the video below that to check out the latest one-shot from our wrestling role-playing series No Rolls Barred, where CBW goes high school. Make sure to check the links for Surfshark in the description, as it really helps support the channel, and subscribe here for daily news videos. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.